Now the Philistines fought against Israel. The Israelites fled before them, and many fell dead on Mount Gilboa. The Philistines were in hot pursuit of Saul and his sons, and they killed his sons Jonathan, Abinadab, and Malchishua. Very interesting names. The fight grew fierce around Saul, and when the archers overtook them, they wounded him. He said to his armor-bearer, "Draw your sword and run me through, before these uncircumcised men find me." But his armor-bearer was terrified, and so Saul took his sword and fell on it. When the armor-bearer realized that Saul was dead, he too took his sword and fell on it. When all the Israelites in the valley saw that the army had fled, and that Saul and his sons had died, they abandoned their towns and fled, and the Philistines came and occupied them. The next day, when the Philistines came to strip the dead, they found Saul and his sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. They stripped him and took his head and his armor, and sent messengers throughout the land of the Philistines to proclaim the news among their idols and their people. When the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard that the Philistines had done what the Philistines had done to Saul, all their valiant men went and took the bodies of Saul and his sons and buried them under the great tree in Jabesh, and they fasted for 7 days. Now, I'm going to assume that everyone in here has been punished for something or another. I mean, unless you're the youngest child. Then you probably don't even know the meaning of the word. I've been punished before. Even I've been punished before, and I'm the golden child of the family. My parents don't say it, but I'm totally their favorite. I have sinned before. Like I said, I've done many atrocities. But anyway, we get punished when we do something wrong in the eyes of our parents, the law, or, in this case, the eyes of the Lord. When we get punished. I already read that. Saul was the first king of Israel and started out loving God and longing to live to serve him and his people. However, he lost sight of the Lord, and he turned his back on God. He became wicked, and God punishes the wicked. Now, the main character of this story is King Saul, who thought of himself as the golden child, the perfect one, the one who always gets away with everything, etc., etc. And at one point, he was close to being that. He was this close to being God's golden child, this close to being like a man after God's own heart, like David. However, Saul, being the golden child of God and getting chosen as king over everyone else, quickly boosted his ego and his pride, and we also quickly learn that Saul only wanted God's gift and his power. The golden child even disobeyed God's command on multiple occasions, like Saul sacrificing without prophet or priest, Saul taking animals to sacrifice from an evil town in which he was supposed to kill everything that lived, including the animals, and he sought a medium over the Lord when he was in need of guidance. In which a medium is a person who claims to have the ability to summon and talk to the dead. Now, you're probably thinking, like I first did, what? Saul is sinning against the Lord? Okay, God cannot let that slide, in which you'd be right. What we read in the beginning of the sermon was God's punishment against the now wicked Saul. The story seems pretty cut and dry. Saul is wounded, and he kills himself, so the Philistines say that they've captured Saul. The Philistines cut off Saul's head and takes both it and his armor to their temples. Israel gets Saul's body back. They bury Saul's and his sons' bodies. Israel mourns. The end. However, God throws a monkey wrench in that and says, "Nope, I killed Saul, in a section of chapter 10 that is not like the other text. Saul died because he was unfaithful to the Lord. He did not keep the word of the Lord, and even consulted a medium for guidance. He did not inquire the Lord, so the Lord put him to death and turned the kingdom over to David, son of Jesse, which turned out to be a good choice in the end, as we all know. Because we're psychics, we can see the future. Oh, shoot. Let's see. God punished Saul because Saul let being God's favorite go to his head, causing him to swell up with pride. And the text says, number 1, he was unfaithful. He disobeyed the Lord on multiple occasions and purposely turned his back from him. Number 2, he did not keep the word of the Lord. He often ignored them. He often ignored him and decided to go against what he said. And number 3, he sought a power other than God by consulting a medium. When it seems like God turned his back on him and left him, instead of repenting and asking God for forgiveness, he decides to just go find someone else that he can put in the place of God's power. Now, we have a choice to make. Do we do wicked things like Saul, or do we put on the righteousness of God and choose to worship him and be his holy servants? Just remember, God punishes the wicked. God punishes the wicked, but Jesus Christ, the Son of God and the true Messiah, died on the cross to take our sins and the punishment that we so rightfully deserved. We should have all died, but God decided to take that punishment onto himself. And thanks to his sacrifice, now when we sin and we know we are sinning, we let our ego get to us, we become prideful and turn our backs to God, we can pray to God and ask for forgiveness. Now, Jesus is the final king in a line of evildoers and sinners. But he is the one true king, the one true righteous king, I should add, and he is still king to this very day because he still lives. And yet he died because of our sins. But because of Jesus taking that punishment... Oh, wait, I already said that. Okay. God is the almighty judge who takes into account the actions of his followers. And though sometimes God might give us small, bearable punishments for our sins, in the end, he loves us through and through. God punishes the wicked, but if we don't act like Saul, disobeying and turning our backs to him, then God will forgive you if and when you ask for forgiveness. Thank you.